Please, allow me to show you something.
Welcome back to the All in My Head podcast. I'm Jenny, and I am your host. And you have landed here today for episode 37, and it is called Can We Be Honest for a Minute? And if this is your first time here, I'm so glad that you found your way to this little corner of the internet where we don't pretend to have it all figured out. And today I don't have a guest. I don't have 5 easy steps to becoming your best self. I don't have a perfectly packaged lesson tied up with a neat little bow. I just have honesty, which is truly the foundation of who I am. So, can we be honest for a minute? Actually, let's make it about 20 minutes. I have a feeling I'm not the only one who's carrying around thoughts that rarely make it out loud. Maybe today they'll sound a little like yours. There's something strange that happens as we get older. People assume we become fearless. And even my husband said that recently, like, you're fearless. And it seems like by 50 something, we've finally arrived. And that we've made peace with ourselves and that we know exactly who we are. The truth, I'm still becoming, I'm still questioning, I'm still learning. And some days, I'm still scared. Not scared of monsters under the bed. Not even scared of the failure. Failure the way I used to be. I'm scared, and maybe I'll even use the word frightened, of quieter things now. Scared or frightened of wasting time, of waiting too long, of letting fear disguise itself as practicality. I'm scared of shrinking when my soul is asking to expand. I'm scared of looking back one day and realizing I lived safely instead of fully. Those fears don't usually make it into Instagram captions. They don't show up in your highlight reels, but they are very real. And maybe they're real for you too. I think one of the biggest lies adulthood tells us is that eventually we'll stop doubting ourselves. And I don't think we do. I think we just learn how to walk anyway. It has been said many times, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's making room for fear without giving it the microphone, without giving it center stage. And some days fear is loud. It whispers things like, "Who do you think you are? It's too late. Someone else is already doing it, and they're doing it better. Maybe this dream is enough. It doesn't have to become real. Does any of that sound familiar? And here's another thing that I don't usually admit out loud. I still have dreams that keep me awake at night. Not nightmares, dreams. The kind that tap you on the shoulder at 2 a.m. and say, there's still more. There's still more books, more conversations, more people to meet, more lives to touch, more stories waiting to be written. And sometimes that's when I think about the younger version of myself. The very young girl who believed that anything was possible before life introduced her to trauma and disappointment. I wonder what she'd think if she met me today. Would she be proud? Would she be surprised? Would she tell me to dream even bigger? I hope so. I actually think she would. Because somewhere along the way, many of us started apologizing for wanting more, as if gratitude and ambition can't exist in the same heart. But they can. I can be grateful for today and still hope tomorrow holds something beautiful I haven't met yet. And can I tell you something else? There are dreams I haven't shared because saying them out loud makes them vulnerable. Maybe you have dreams like that too. The ones you protect because if nobody knows, nobody can watch them fail. There's safety in that silence. But there's also loneliness. Dreams need oxygen. They need space to breathe. And sometimes they need witnesses. Not because people can make them happen, although sometimes they can assist you on that journey, but because speaking them reminds us they're still alive. Now let's shift a little and talk about disappointment. Because every life has it. And some disappointments break us, while others quietly reshape us. I've made peace with the fact that some relationships will never become what I hoped they would. Some apologies will never come. Some people will never understand me. Some chapters ended without explanation. And for a long time, I thought healing meant making sense of all of it. But now I think healing looks different. Healing is realizing every unanswered question doesn't require an answer to become less heavy. Healing is putting down the weight you've carried long enough. And healing is choosing peace over proof. There are people that I wanted to walk beside me forever, and they didn't. There are doors that I prayed would open that stayed closed. And at the time, I called those moments failure. But now I call many of them redirections. I'd even call them gifts. And sometimes terrible things simply happen, and that is the sad truth. But in that, I have discovered something beautiful. Meaning. Meaning is something we create, not something we're handed. And if I could sit across from an earlier version of myself over coffee, I would tell her, stop begging closed doors to become entrances. Stop confusing familiarity with safety. And stop believing your worth depends on who stays. The people meant to walk beside you won't require you to disappear first. And I want to say that one again. The people meant to walk beside you won't require you to disappear first. So don't shrink. And then there's hope. And hope is funny. You know, it doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes hope is simply getting out of bed, writing one page, writing one sentence, sending one email, planting one seed, buying the notebook, making the phone call, trying again. Hope isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, maybe tomorrow. And if you have been a listener of this podcast for a while, you know that writing has saved me more than once. There have been seasons, long, dark seasons, when I couldn't make sense of my life until I wrote it down. Words have been bridges, homes, mirrors, friends, prayer. And sometimes I think we're all just trying to write ourselves back home. Can I ask you something? When was the last time you sat quietly enough to hear your own voice? Not your family's expectations, not social media, not the news, not the endless opinions of strangers. Just your voice. Because I wonder how many dreams have been buried beneath everyone else's expectations. I know that was true for me. And here's what I'm learning. And I say learning because I am a constant student of life every day. I'm learning you don't have to become someone else. You just have to become more of yourself. And that is much harder. Because authenticity asks us to disappoint other people. It asks us to set boundaries, to change, to grow, and to say, this no longer fits. Even when everyone else wants us to keep steady in that same space. And I don't know exactly what the next chapter of my life looks like. I wish I did. But maybe certainty isn't the goal. Maybe faith is. Maybe curiosity is. Maybe showing up one honest conversation at a time is enough. I mean, I do know what I would like out of my life in this next season. I know what I am striving for. And I know what I'm not allowing any longer. But I'm also walking in faith and in wonder and allowing what's meant for me to find me. Before we end today, I want to leave you with something. Something I wrote down before this podcast. So, can we be honest again for a minute? I'm still afraid, but I'm not petrified and stuck. I'm still hopeful. I'm still healing. I'm still becoming. Some days I still wonder if my words matter. Some days I still question whether I'm enough. But I still dream impossible dreams while putting away my laundry, answering emails, responding to a text, cooking dinner, making coffee, living an ordinary life. Maybe extraordinary lives aren't built in extraordinary moments. Maybe they're stitched together from ordinary days where we simply refused to quit. Maybe courage isn't loud. Maybe hope doesn't always roar. Maybe becoming looks exactly like this: showing up, telling the truth, loving anyway, dreaming anyway, writing anyway. One page, one breath, one beautiful unfinished story at a time. Thank you for sitting with me today. Thank you for letting this feel less like a podcast episode and more like two people sharing coffee and conversation. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message and tell me, what hope are you still holding on to? Or what dreams keep you awake at night? And if someone came to mind while you were listening, share this episode with them. Sometimes the most meaningful gift we can give someone is the reminder that they're not the only one carrying these thoughts. Until next time, keep writing your story, keep honoring your voice, keep being honest, and keep making room for hope. Thank you for listening to the All in My Head podcast. Take good care of yourself, and I will meet you here again.